Representative Bauer's bill, H 4179, and my bill, H 4183, would eliminate the ability of criminal defense attorneys who are also legislators from serving on that vital commission known as the Judicial Merit Selection Commission. Last Tuesday we held a press conference to bring light to the issue, but this week has shined a huge spotlight on the conflict we spoke about. I've asked Solicitor Pascoe to speak to the press about this new issue.
I've been going around this state for a year and a half now talking about the need for judicial reform and changing the way we select our judges. Every single solicitor in this state supports the judicial reform that has been put up by these legislators. Think about that. Democrats, Republicans, men, women, black and white. Every single solicitor supports this legislation. I don't know of one sheriff who doesn't support this legislation. I've personally spoken to most of them, and I don't know of one that doesn't support it. So ask yourself this before I get rolling. Who doesn't support it and why? Ask yourself this. Who benefits from the system that we currently have in South Carolina? But the most important reason I didn't wish to speak last week is because on Tuesday morning, I was involved in exposing and trying to fix a travesty of justice that occurred to the Smalls family. Last Tuesday, we were still in the beginning stages of learning how this injustice occurred. We were just learning the facts. And what we know today is that this injustice and pain was brought upon the Smalls family caused by the inactions and actions of a solicitor, a judge, and a lawyer legislator who sits on the Judicial Merit Selection Committee and selects our judges. A JMSC lawyer who picks our judges. An injustice so blatant that I am confident that our Supreme Court is going to act swiftly to correct this wrong. And I am also very grateful, as is the Smalls family, for the Attorney General's office swift action in this case. When legislators have the power to hire, fire, and completely fund the judiciary is not an independent branch of government. They work for those lawyer legislators who pick them, and that's too much power. You heard from Solicitor Kevin Brackett. He told you how lawyer legislators, and especially Judicial Merit Selection Committee members, have a lot of influence, not just in the courtroom, but in chambers. I've seen it, as I'm going to talk about just a second. Representative Joseph White has seen it, and now the state of South Carolina has seen it with this secret illegal order created by a lawyer legislator and acquiesced by a solicitor and a judge. I have seen it in chambers with lawyer legislators, JMSC members. My lawyers, prosecutors have seen it. And just recently, Joseph White told me a story. He's not even a lawyer legislator, and he walked back recently to visit with the judge in chambers, and guess who was there? A member of the Judicial Merit Selection Committee chumming it up with the judge back in chambers. And I'm not going to get into all the discussion, nor am I going to give you the names because it wouldn't be fair at this time. But one of the things that JMSC member made clear with Joe White in there is judicial reform is not going to happen. Well, I'm asking the people of South Carolina to prove that JMSC member wrong. But needless to say, the in-chambers, secret, sealed order obtained by a member of the Judicial Merit Selection Committee in this case that allowed a cold-blooded murderer to receive an illegal reduction and release from prison cannot happen in a true justice system. How long is the madness going to outbrave the justice in the state of South Carolina? That's my question. How long is the madness going to outbrave justice in our state? Enough is enough. We have a system where in many counties, the senators who appoint the magistrates practice law in front of those same magistrates. How's that justice? But y'all, that's not even the biggest problem in our state. The biggest problem in our state is the one that Gilda Cobb-Hunter, Heather Bauer, and Joseph White, and these other representatives behind me are trying to tackle, which is to take lawyer legislators off of the Judicial Merit Selection Committee and change the way we elect our circuit court judges, Court of Appeals judges, and Supreme Court justices. The JMSC routinely predetermines the outcome of judicial elections in our state. Currently, Speaker Merle Smith and Senator Luke Rankin, Chairman of the Judiciary in the Senate, appoint all 10 members of the commission, and 6 of the appointees are lawyer legislators. And guess who one of those appointees is? Representative Todd Rutherford, the same person who participated in chambers. By his own admission in filings, it happened in chambers with a sealed, secret order. And who often gets elected as judges in South Carolina? Think about this. JMSC members' spouses, their cousins, their best friends, their law partners. I think you get the point. Their legislation will go a long way in ending the practice of giving a handful of legislative insiders power to pick our state's judges. Our system is failing and people are hurting, like the Smalls. And I can't for the life of me understand why their bill doesn't have double or triple the number of sponsors it currently has. 3 things I can't stand: crime, corruption, and complacency. And complacency is the reason they don't have more sponsors. Complacency caused by a lack of courage, a lack of moral courage. Someone once said that in politics, moral courage is a rarer commodity than bravery on the battlefield. And I found that to be true. They know it's wrong. Our system is hurting, but they need to show the courage in these 2 chambers and stand up to the leadership and pass this necessary reform. Representative Cobb Hunter alluded to this last week. You guys have no idea the courage it takes for a freshman representative in the Democratic Party like Heather Bauer to sponsor this legislation and push it with the press. Because I'm going to tell y'all a little secret that you guys don't know about, and I'm not supposed to know about. Heather Bauer didn't tell me this. Gilda Cobb Hunter didn't tell me this. Several weeks ago, Heather Bauer was called out among the Democrats, called out by the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. And guess what legislator called her out? Representative Todd Rutherford. Called her out for her stance of judicial reform by the same lawyer legislator who created this secret sealed order and brought pain upon the family behind me. Think about that. Where's the fairness in that system? And Gilda, where are the Democrats? Where is our party? I'm a Democrat. Where is our party? The Democratic Party of South Carolina claims to be the party of diversity. But the Democratic Party in South Carolina in these 2 houses seem to be okay with the Supreme Court that has no women on it. We're the only state in the union, to my knowledge, that has no women on its Supreme Court, and have only 2 people of color in the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court out of 14. That's what the Democrats apparently are okay with in South Carolina. Solicitors aren't okay with it. Sheriffs aren't okay with it. The people aren't okay with it, but they're okay with it. They need to get some courage and support this legislation. And I'm almost finished. I know I've gone off a little bit more than I intended. But both the House and Senate today, y'all, both the House and Senate, you made some great points last week, in fact, with questions, but both the House and Senate have legislation that could be passed immediately that would give us transparency and remove the undue influence of a handful of lawmakers that they have on the judge selection process. Yes, the Senate. I have been getting calls this week and this morning from senators who say they have legislation that they could take up right now in the Senate chambers right there, pass it, and yes, get it over to the House. Even if it doesn't, they explained to me that even if it doesn't meet the crossover, they can get a special order from the majority leader, Senator Massey, and get it over to the House. But those senators tell me, David, we can't get it done because the chairman of the Judiciary, Luke Rankin, won't take it up. So I'm calling on the voters of Horry County to make your Senator Luke Rankin, chairman of the Judiciary, take this legislation up and get something passed in the Senate. The alternative, ladies and gentlemen, is to do nothing and to have another family endure the injustice and pain that Lily and Carl Smalls endured. In closing, the Smalls family trusted our judicial system, and that trust got them a phone call 2 hours before the release of their son's murderer, telling them that your son's murderer is about to be released from a New Mexico prison. He's so bad, we can't even keep him in South Carolina. So he's being released from a New Mexico prison, and there's nothing you can do about it because of a sealed, secret order. Think of the nightmare that causes two parents who lost a son. We're asking that something be done about it, and we're asking that something be done about it now.
Good morning. My name's Carl Smalls, my wife Billy, and we come here this morning. But first, before we get started, I want to just hold this up. This is all appeals from Mr. Price, Gerard Price, the murderer. This is what we was going through for the last 20 years. And believe me, every time you get one of these, you get the phone call, you get the robocall, but you get the letter a couple of days later. And you can just be minding your own business, just having a good day. Everything's going well, and you get one of these, and then your life just turned around all over again. It's day by day, and it's a stack of them. This is what we get. And I just want to mention what Sheriff Lott just said just now. It's right. I mean, as far as the rights of victims, that's something I heard too many times coming up here. Well, it's his right, it's their right, it's their right. And this is their right. Appeal. And you know, to me, I look at it as, I started looking at it as more of a criminal assistance system than a criminal justice system. And this is what we did. This is what we're doing with murderers like Gerard Price. We're assisting them. You know, it should be justice for everyone, including justice for people that's accused of murder or any crime. Justice for them, especially those that are falsely accused. But more importantly, it has to be justice for us, for the victim, and not just us as victim, but for everyone, all of you out there. And so, seeing that point, I just want to read a short statement that we have, which reads as, good morning, we're Carl and Lily Smalls. We would like to thank Solicitor Pasco for the invitation to be here, and all the legislators and law enforcers and lawmakers who are in attendance for listening to us. This part of the nightmare of losing our son, which we call Part 2, started on March 15th, 2023 at 11 a.m. with a phone call from Mrs. Portia Quiller of the Division of Victim Services. She told us that she has some news that would be hard to take. She proceeded to tell us that Gerard Price would be released today, and we will receive an automated call at 2:30. This is 11 o'clock, and she said 2:30 you'll receive a call. I mean, it was tough to take, even though we knew it was coming. And we are very thankful for her for alerting us before this happened. She told us that she felt compelled to speak to us so that we will have a human being to talk to upon receiving this horrible news. We were told that he was released, sentence amended, no probation, no supervision or restrictions. Since this order was signed by a circuit judge, we thought that although as horrible as this was, it was a done deal, and we just would have to deal with it. Once again, the rights of the criminal. We're the lawyers, we're the lawmakers, we set the laws, we set the rules, you deal with whatever we put up. On April 17th, I received a call from Deputy Chief Stan Smith asking me when did I learn of Price's release. He was shocked to learn that Price had been released a month earlier. He told me he found out the morning he called me, April 17th. Deputy Sheriff Smith didn't know that the killer was back on the street. Sheriff Lott didn't know that he was back on the street, and neither did Solicitor Pasco know that he was on the street. This was a secret deal, an unlawful act. We're here today to put a face on injustice, and you're looking at it, injustice and pain. And our goal are twofold. We want to ensure that in our limited power, that this killer returns to prison, and secondly, to use our voice to help bring about changes to the system that will prevent another family from having to endure this miscarriage of justice. And that's our main objective here today, is that we don't want somebody to go through this again. It never ends. Every day, as time goes on, you learn to adapt, because you have to. Life doesn't stop for you because you're suffering or in pain. Life doesn't stop. But If there's anything we can do as a family to prevent another family from going through this again, and we're here. We'd be in favor for investigation throughout this whole process, everyone involved. And I mean, is that the question? Yes. Yes, we definitely would be in favor of it. We need investigation of the ones that signed this order, that signed this deal secretly, every one of them. I also believe that the law records, the judicial record for Judge Manning and Mr. Rutherford, that it be examined, just to see who else they done screwed over.